Celebrating 10 years of award-winning car talk, it's the In Wheel Time Car Show. Just ahead, Mr. Mars has another interesting story in his series on banned race cars. This one on the six-wheelers. We'll have the upcoming events calendar and today's news headlines, all just ahead on today's live edition of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, down at the other end of the dais. King Conrad DeLong. We need more, Jeff Zekin.
We do.
I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us today.
Donnie Boone. Donnie Boone was a man.
He was a real man. I used to watch that show on television. I know.
It's still on, isn't it? Somewhere?
Daniel Boone?
Yeah.
Me TV.
Probably. Is it on Me TV?
TV? Yeah.
Is it on that Saturday morning
No, it's
Western
Me
thing?
TV. Yeah, it might
Bonanza,
be.
Rifle.
Well, if it's on Me TV, then it's also on Pluto. And I didn't realize that you can get a Pluto on your cell phone and download, watch right on your...
Yeah, it's pretty
for
far
nothing.
away, though. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'll have to do that.
Do that sometime.
Yeah, Pluto's pretty far away.
I did while we're waiting for our next guest. Do we have our next guest?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
All right.
Oh, sing hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. Marc Sorger, car collector and top fuel driver. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Are you out of breath? We can't hear you.
Oh, boy.
I don't know why we can't hear you, because you don't have your audio on, I guess. Or Mr. Mars doesn't have the audio on. I'm not sure. But I do have, while we're trying to get the audio straight on Mark.
Okay.
There he is.
All right.
How you doing?
We can hear you now. Well, you're of that age that we can forgive you, because we all do the same thing. Duh.
Well, couldn't get my laptop going, so we're on my phone.
That's all right. Well, thanks for joining us today. Mark, tell us a little bit about the fact that you're a car collector and a top fuel driver. Usually those two things don't go together.
Well, I grew up in a racing family, and just one thing led to another, starting off with 14-second cars back in 1980, and somehow I ended up running top fuel funny car. So I wouldn't necessarily call myself a collector.
There's just a wee bit of difference between a 14-second quarter-mile car and a 3-second top fuel drag.
And there's a lot of information missing in between.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about chasing ETs, and wanting to go faster, and then pretty soon you.
Well, yeah, we know how that is. I mean, the 600 cubic feet per minute carburetor turns into a 950, and that's not good enough. And
so let's put a blower on it.
Let's put a blower on it, and then that leads to we need a stronger transmission, rear end, and we need some big fat tires, and that's not enough.
Until something breaks, and then you strengthen that, and then something else breaks as you keep on moving up.
Have you been collecting all of these parts that you've kind of destroyed, or either that is set aside and
put nitrous on it?
And build all of these collector cars now, or what? How does that work?
Well, I've blown up a lot of stuff over the years, and used to save all that stuff as kind of mementos, and it just kind of the pile got too big, and I just started kind of threw it all away.
Yeah.
But
so let's start with the top. Let's start with the car collection first. So, what do you have in the car collection? How big is it?
Well, it's not so big anymore, just because it's kind of run its course. I'm really still into the car hobby, Yeah. But
you kind of thin in the herd, as they speak.
Well, yeah. So pretty much been selling the last few years, selling everything off. So I've never considered myself a collector. Is more of an enthusiast, and I just like to,
or a hoarder. Maybe as a hoarder would be a better word.
There you go.
So I just find old muscle cars, fix them up, save them, drive them, race them, everything. Every muscle car I owned, it's been down the quarter mile probably, and then it run its course and sell it and move on to the next one. So, I've got a 427 66 Biscayne that I've never driven.
Now, is that see, the way we connected with Mark is I did a unicorn hunting of a 427 Chevy 3-speed on the column, and Mark found my comment on it, and he commented on it. Oh, I was the person who bought the car, so that's how we kind of connected to Mark. And is that the one you're talking about?
It is, yeah. So it's 427 3-speed on the column. bought it from the original family. I found it on a cattle ranch, and then.
Well, I have to tell you, the Biscayne holds a little piece of my heart because that's where I learned to drive a stick shift, except it wasn't a 427. It was a straight 6-cylinder with a 3-speed on the column. The bottom line, no air conditioning. They had to hang a air conditioner underneath the dashboard. You know those things. And that's where I learned to drive a stick shift. So I'm kind of connected to that car. And when I saw the post that Conrad made on the 427 with the 3-speed on the column, I was drooling, thinking, "Yeah, that's my cup of tea right there."
Oh yeah,
So it's a pretty rare car. It's one of 72 made with a 3-speed, and it's not a Saginaw. The big block cars had a Muncie M23 3-speed, so it's kind of unique. But
well, the M22 Muncie is the Rock Crusher. Is that correct?
Yeah. 4-speed, yeah. So M23 is a 3-speed. It was a big block only, so they didn't make very many of them. So.
Now, you said you found it on a farm?
Ranch.
What was
it on a cattle ranch? Okay. So I volunteer on. I'm retired.
Okay.
So
was it in?
So I volunteer on cattle ranches, and just because it's fun and keeps, something to do.
And you find some cool cars there, huh?
So the car's been sitting since '82.
Oh, okay.
Lady that bought it new was a Air Force pilot, and then she ended up had a trailer hitch on it. She towed a U-Haul trailer or something, made her way to Nellis in Vegas, and was stationed there. And then the car made its way to Tacoma at McCord Air Force Base. And
so, what kind of condition was it in?
It was weathered, but it was all original and solid. So I found it on a farm in eastern Washington.
I have to tell you from my experience at the Chevrolet dealership for a couple of years that we always had some sort of weird one-off kind of thing that either the dealership acquired from another dealership in a trade, a dealer-to-dealer trade, or they had ordered it and the person didn't pick it up and it's just sitting on the lot, and it would become one of those oddball kind of cars, because that's not one of those kind of cars that I would think that a dealer would order without an actual somebody at the other end to actually buy it.
Hence unicorn.
Yeah, so my understanding from her family is that she actually ordered the car.
Yeah.
And then since she was in the Air Force and traveling from one base to another, she wanted the biggest engine she could get, so she ordered the 427. And it's a 385 horsepower. It's not a 4 1/4 horse. And then the only other option was an AM radio. So that's it. AM radio and the 427 and with 308 rear end gears. So it's pretty neat. But like I said, I've never driven it.
But you have collected what I would consider a number, and just because I kind of follow what you say as you kind of read our Facebook page through the years, you've kind of and I get an assumption that you're not necessarily a collector, but a lot of these cars pass through your ownership over a period of time of some pretty unique stuff. So what would be some of your favorite unique ones that you've owned?
Well, I've had hundreds of muscle cars. I mean, I don't even remember them all.
Now he's bragging. I knew we would find somebody that would have to brag about his 100 cars.
But the thing is that when I was buying them, way back when, you could buy a Hemi car for $800, and so. But definitely my favorite two. And I wouldn't. You got viewers that would argue that these aren't muscle cars, but. So I had a 69 L88 Corvette. It was a heater delete car I bought from the original owner. That stands out. And then probably my favorite would have been my 71 RS Z28. It was Hugger Orange. I drag raced that car every weekend, and my wife and I dated in that car and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And if I could
Do you still have that car?
No, had that car for, if something lives in my shop for 4 years, that's a long time. And I probably had that car for 4 or 5 years. And
do you still have the wife?
Yeah. Surprisingly. Yeah.
Well, 4 or 5 years. I mean,
She's pretty, she's been pretty patient with all my craziness with the car and the racing world. So
You've got something behind you on the wall there, the picture of the Mustang. That's yours, obviously.
Oh yeah, so that was an '08 Mustang I bought new and for a daily driver. And I actually told my wife, I said, this is going to be the first car I'm not going to modify in any way. And
Looks like it.
Well, you did because it's got a number on the door, and I would imagine that you probably drove it to work with the number on the door.
And a wing.
Well, that car started off as I took it to the drag strip the day I bought it, see what it would run, and the gearing wasn't optimal. So it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to put 410 gears in it, and then one thing led to another, and that car was the car that ended up being NASCAR Cup powered that I road raced in American Iron Extreme. And had a bunch of global sponsors, and it won SEMA in 2013 and some other stuff. But car was competitive.
I like the way you play all this down. We're all living through you, and we do need just a touch of excitement and enthusiasm about these cars that you dangle in front of us.
Yeah,
right.
Win
so
SEMA with.
So that car, that's how that car looked before it attracted some sponsors, and then 3M came on board and wrapped it, and company out of Japan came on board and did a big aero package for it, and it was in a wind tunnel and a bunch of stuff, and
this is the car you were not going to modify.
Yeah, the car I wasn't going to modify. 860 horsepower NASCAR Cup motor that came out of Mark Martin's car, and
How
clutchless
cool.
4-speed and the whole darn thing. So,
Wow.
So we assume Glenda, your wife, is also an auto enthusiast. She's on Facebook and talking to me on Facebook.
oh no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's gonna know after 24 or 5 years, he's gonna find out some secrets that she didn't know
There you
about.
go. That's why we asked
that's
the
why I
questions.
thought I'd warn you.
Well, she came from a car family too. So, her brother races Top Fuel Funny Car, pretty famous. Her dad road raced. He was on the Shelby team, raced a competition Cobra,
Oh, wow.
and then he switched teams, went to McLaren. My dad raced NHRA and was the Division 6 NHRA tech director. So, it's just
It's all
my
in the
blood.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about the Top Fuel,
Funny
the
car.
funny car that you have.
Well,
Do you still
well, that-
have it?
no. So that was I was going to drive for somebody. I didn't own the car.
Oh.
Had a deal worked out to do the Western Swing with a local company. So I got my license, which was, I already had a advanced ET license because I had a blown alcohol altered. So I had to just make 3 passes in a funny car to get my funny car license. And, this was back when funny cars ran quarter mile, then now they run 1,000 feet.
Right.
So my quickest time was a 5:04 at 3:04, which was about a 10th slower than like Force and those guys at the time. So, but I never did race a national event because the sponsor backed out, and then I wasn't gonna race on my
But
own.
still went 5 seconds at 300 miles an hour
Yeah.
in a nitro car.
Like it's
in his
yesterday.
lap. Yeah, it was no
yeah.
big deal.
And then I did this.
Yeah, we
and
want to
then I
live
did
vicariously
that.
through you.
The difference between driving like a Top Fuel funny car and like my blown alcohol altered ran 680s in the quarter right at 200. The biggest difference is in the first 330 feet between a Top Fuel funny car and like my blown alcohol altered, because they both pick up about 40, 45 miles an hour from the 8th to the quarter. So there really isn't much difference once you get to the 8th, you're just kind of along for the ride and you hope you're going straight. So
what's your future on this? Are you going to do like maybe the Salt Flats or something, or there's a Texas Mile going on right now?
Well, I'm thinking long beyond that. I'm thinking more about Elon Musk and the flight to the moon or something.
And it'll probably own the rocket.
only if I can drive.
Only if you there you go.
He's not in.
But no ambition to go to the Salt Flats.
The thing is, no, you know what? Salt Flats has always been on my bucket list of things to do, and it probably won't happen. But that's okay.
No Pikes Peak?
I would have been more interested in Pikes Peak when it was all dirt. Now that
Yeah.
a lot of
Oh.
Right.
Old
No,
school,
just kind of
dangerous.
I like the thrill of the going over the edge.
You don't want to go over the edge.
We do that every
the thrill.
Yeah.
every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. We go over the edge.
Yeah, we do.
The thrill of going over the edge at Pikes Peak is short-lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, very short-lived.
Yeah, so I think my racing, for the most part, my racing career is I'm pretty much retired.
Okay, so what do you have in the garage? Now, this is the bottom line here. I mean, we've gone through all the stuff that you no longer have.
Yeah.
What do you have?
Well, I don't have much, to be honest.
No, it's
Oh,
okay.
boy, come on.
Kind of? What is your
I don't
daily
have
driver?
I don't have anything of real probably interest to most people because I've kind of moved on to collecting really low mileage old trucks, survivors I find on these farms. And, I've got a 71 F350 that has 9,000 original miles.
Oh, wow.
That's just
So why do I get the feeling that you're leading up to telling me that your grocery getter is like a 1980 Ford Fiesta?
Yeah.
I've had that kind of stuff because I'm a car enthusiast and I just think everything is cool.
Yeah.
So I don't have a Ford Fiesta. I've never had one, but doesn't mean I wouldn't.
So when you and your wife go out on date night, who drives?
Oh, I do normally.
What do you take?
I'll see what Glenda says. Hold on.
Let's double check. We're going to fact check that.
She's got a Polestar tuned Volvo T6, so that's pretty much. We're going somewhere. We're driving that.
Nice.
So what else have you got?
So I've got, like I said, a bunch of trucks. I've got the 427 Biscayne. I've got an unrestored Avanti that was the vice president of Avanti's personal car.
What year model's your Avanti?
So that was an 82, so that's an Avanti 2.
Okay.
So
that's GM power, the GM powertrain.
Yep. So in 65 on, they went to Chevrolet Power because Studebaker went bankrupt.
Still a cool car. I have always the style of that car has lasted to me like the style of the Porsche 911 has. That is still a car that attracts everybody's attention.
So up till 82, they were still built on the Studebaker chassis. So they had enough leftover parts that they, when Altman and Newman and Frederick Baer, who was the vice president, and my car was Frederick Baer's personal car.
Oh,
I've got
wow.
all the documentation and stuff, but I've owned it for a number of years. I think I've put 80 miles on it. It's under a car cover, but it's a beautiful car. My wife had a 63 Avanti R1 4-speed car that was turquoise with ivory and turquoise interior. Beautiful car, and we recently sold it to a collector.
The R1 being the supercharged 289?
No. The R1 was naturally aspirated.
Okay.
R2
was supercharged.
Supercharged. Okay. So this was a 4-speed car with a 373 Aussie, and
fun.
It was
Sounds
nice
like
car.
a fun car. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wasn't driving them, and I just don't like things. I'm not a collector, so they sit long enough. It's like, it needs a better home. So.
It's good to have.
Yeah. So I like to save these cars. I find these muscle cars and old trucks and. I've had everything from 50s Jaguars to Hemi Cornettes. It's really pretty much everything in between.
Where do you live?
So I live in Central Oregon. Excuse me. So I live in a town of 1,000 people.
Nice.
So all surrounded by cattle ranches and farms. And boy, I don't get to bench race anymore because most of these people out here don't know anything about any of this.
But it sounds like your travels through ranches and farms has boded you well for your collector, your desire to buy the unique. Let's say you just talked about some of the stuff you found in some of the trucks.
Yeah. So I find a lot of square body Chevys, that are one owner, super clean. There's no rust out here. I live in the desert, and at any given time, I'll have a dozen square body Chevys. I'll fix them up, put a bunch of money in them, and trade them for something of less value because I'm the worst salesman in the world.
Have you ever heard of Mercedes and Andy Lilienthal?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, they live up there in in the Oregon countryside as well. And
I think they're closer into Portland.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. But they deal with those Japanese domestic market. I'll call unique vehicles the unicorn vehicles.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Andy works for Warren Winch.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. So we've got the connection if you're looking for winched vehicles.
Yeah, if you need to put a wrench on the front of that Mustang.
Surprisingly, out here in the middle of nowhere, Smith Brothers Push Rods is out here who, supplies most of the push rods for top fuel teams.
Is that the same brothers that had the cough drops back in the day? No, sorry.
And Fuel Safe. I don't hate to throw names out here on your show, but Fuel Safe's huge into the fuel cell market. They're out here.
Yep.
But so there's a fair amount of
high tech stuff.
Company.
Yeah, if you need longhorn steer horns on the front of your car, contact us. We can do that for you.
We got that for you.
Yeah, we got that covered.
Mark,
I've got plenty of those myself, so I just had to wrestle one big longhorn mama cow to the ground a couple days ago so we could take care of her medical problem.
Mike calls that Tuesday.
Mark, thanks so much for joining us today. We certainly appreciate it, and thank you.
Yeah. And if you want to do some bench racing, just let us know.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh yeah, no, it's been fun. So if you ever want me to have talk back on the show again, and
absolutely,
you're welcome. You're welcome anytime.
Talk about some of the real quarter mile times that some of these stock muscle cars ran. I've pretty much ran them all down the track at one time or another.
Sounds good, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again. We appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. Hey, if you'd like to get in touch with us here at the In Wheel Time Car Show, shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for the events calendar, and Conrad always takes care of that for us.
Well, next Saturday is the Rebel Roundup down in Needville, Texas, and that's going to start on the 6th at 10 a.m. On 3001 Violet Street in Needville. November 13th is Dahl's Car and Truck Show, The Art of Katie. So, just all the different things that are going around. The Arc of Katie, excuse me. I didn't realize there was an arc in Katie.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Legacy Ford Toys for Tots Show in Rosenberg is December 11th. We have Tailpipes and Tacos coming up on December 18th. And then also Deadpool's Toy Drive is the 18th at Kim's Tea House in Katy.
Nice.
I do want to give a shout out if Mark's wife is still listening. Glenda, thank you very much for loaning us your husband for a half hour.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, fine. All right, time now for this hour's car review. Mr. Mars has another segment of his banned race car series.
Yes. So it was really interesting to find out, and it was Conrad's idea, actually, to talk about these race cars, particularly F1 cars, is where it really happened, that had more than 4 tires. And they typically, it started out as 4 tires on the front of the car. Now, this was done to give them more traction, give them more steering traction. Created some problems. First, they had to figure out how to get the tires, get 4 tires in there. And it was all part of the aerodynamics, because if you look at this picture here, because this is the only car with more than 4 wheels that ran and won a race. So if you look at the front of it, the way the air flows up, the tires, they had to get Goodyear to make these special 10-inch tires so that it would calm and so that it would allow the airflow to come across the top of the body, and it was all about reducing the drag, much like we've been talking about a lot of times. They're doing under-the-body work to create airflow and vacuum and pull it all down. Well, that's basically what they were trying to do here, how to get better airflow, get more traction, and this is one of the solutions they came up with. The drivers didn't like it. It was hard to drive, didn't really care for it. So there was a couple of teams that experimented with that. So the idea, again, increase the grip, reduce the airflow. Now, the second thing they ever came up with was to put dual tires on the back of it. So you end up with the 4 tires on the back of the car. Same basic concept was because the drivers didn't like it up on the front, so we're going to try it on the back. And here you can This one actually had 8. Somebody went that far with it.
Oh, my God.
So they went to the 4 on the back, and a couple of the advantages for that was that the body panels could be increased to come all the way down over the car, over the tires, so that you created this extra airflow, and again, more down pressure. I think the next one will show the one in the rear.
Those don't look real. I mean, they look like
looks
little toys.
like a Photoshop.
Yeah, it looks like toys.
But
so like here.
That one.
So this one's got the same size. A couple of them had the smaller tires again on the back, but what they did here, the body panels could actually be back and flow over it to create the airflow. The other thing they figured out was that with the dual tire setup on each side of the back, the front tire could be treaded or how they would normally run it for rain, but the back tire could still be a slick for more grip because the front tire would clear the water off of it enough that that slick tire could grip.
How'd that work out?
Is there any?
And it actually worked out quite well. It was well enough that this is where they finally drew the line and said, can't do that anymore. This is also part of the all-wheel drive. That was another feature that they had put in whenever they put this in. But so they went to this. It worked so well that the governing body of F1 at the time said, nope, we're not doing this anymore. First, they did away with the all-wheel drive. And then when this came in and it did so well in the practice sessions, they said, nope, no more. You can only have 4 wheels, and you cannot have all-wheel drive on it.
I wonder if they had
that's what got these banned.
The rain tires on the back as well as the treaded tires on the back. I mean, a mix and match for the back.
Probably could have.
Yeah, that would have been neat.
Could have.
Yeah. So it created quite a few advantages along with aerodynamics and stuff.
And that wasn't cheating
No.
at the time. It was legal, but they ended up banning it. So you think about how much money somebody spent to design that car, and then F1 goes, eh.
Yeah, there was 3 teams that actually did it, and the first one that we showed in the pictures was the only one to actually race and win.
The Terrell.
The only race it was in. The rest of them, they were never allowed to actually race.
Well, they also have, I think they've stopped it, but Bridgestone was a sponsor of the Delta Wing car.
Right.
That was a neat
And that
concept.
was 2 tires real close together up front.
Right.
And then a normal, and that was an IMSA car.
IMSA, that's right. But they said that was hard to drive as well.
I would imagine that was very hard to drive, like a tricycle.
Yep.
Gosh. Just leave it alone. Some things, just leave it alone.
No, you have to advance technology. Go to drag racing. You look at the advancement of technology. Originally drag racing, they were tall, hard tires, and they'd smoke them the whole quarter mile, and then they went to the softer tires, and then the difference in how much distortion in the tire, and then the aerodynamics. Kenny Bernstein introduced some of that big aerodynamics on funny cars back in the late 70s, early 80s, and then all the big tall wings on the nitro cars. All of those advancements. Garlett's had a big part of it. I always wondered why his
rad under glass
vertical stabilizer rear wing never really
David
took off.
Paris tried that too. It didn't take
And then
off.
Joe Amato had the body styling, the body fairings on the side of the top
years.
fuel. Yeah.
All right, the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available from your favorite podcast provider. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Let me tell you about a locally owned and operated group of dealerships called Bayway. Bayway owner Daryl Wisniewski is born and raised right here, and he knows Houstonians better than anyone. Daryl's been in the Houston car business since high school. Houston experience that you just can't get at other dealerships. Once you step into a Bayway dealership, you'll want to become part of the Bayway family, too. Feel good that you're part of Houstonian-owned Bayway Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.com, BaywayChevrolet.com, and BaywayLincoln.com. Remember the name, Bayway. Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier monthly cruise-in, will return Saturday, December 18th to the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Tailpipes and Tacos wants to thank all of the participants and fans who have enjoyed the collector cars, hot rods, customs, originals, and resto mods, and everything in between. We'll be taking a break for Thanksgiving and Autorama, but we'll be back for a great Christmas cruise-in on December 18th, so make plans now. You know that Tailpipes and Tacos is the Houston area's coolest cruise-in, a place you'll see friends, family, and the finest cruise-in cars in the Houston area. It all happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Get your ride ready for a very special Christmas cruise-in, Loopy style. It's Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, December 18th. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there too. Let's celebrate the Christmas season together at the next Tailpipes and Tacos on December 18th. We'll see you then, weather permitting. Gulf Coast Auto Shield has moved to a more convenient location. Now you can visit John Gray and his staff of dedicated professionals at their new shop on the South Sam Houston Parkway between Belford and Airport in Southwest Houston. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is the best at paint correction and ceramic coatings. Clear bras and custom wraps are specialties that only Gulf Coast Auto Shield installs with award-winning accuracy, and all their services come with a warranty. Lamborghini, Aston Martin, Porsche, and Ferrari owners depend on Gulf Coast Auto Shield for their specialty services, and you should too. The In-Wheel Time Corvette and Cutlass have both been massaged by Gulf Coast Auto Shield, so isn't it time your vehicle visit their new shop in Southwest Houston? Call John Gray today at 832-930-5655 or visit online at gcautoshield.com. That's gcautoshield.com. Paint, coatings, wraps, and more at gcautoshield.com.